Hi Year 11, here is our lesson for today, Since You've Been Gone revision lesson. Try to put as much as I possibly can into this, some stuff that you can do on your own, some stuff that you can write into your books, and I'll also, you can also keep this video to sort of revise from. So, I've just made a list of all the things we'll go through. So we'll do some starter questions. We'll do some chord progression checks. So I know some of you did that last week. I hope you got my emails about the issues on bite size, which I will rectify today. Some background of the song, the piece, the band, etc. Some music technology that's used, some of the rhythmic features, the texture, melodic features, the tonality, and then some extra questions for you to do at the end. Okay, so for today's lesson, you're going to need something to write with. You're going to need an exercise book or a piece of paper, and you're going to need your study guides. If you've got your study guides with you, your Rheingold Educast music study guide, because that'll be really useful to help you. So if you just make sure you get those things, pause the video, make sure you've got those in front of you. Okay, so we're going to start with 10 questions. There is an extract from Since You've Been Gone written out here. You're going to have 10 minutes to complete 10 questions about this extract. So here is the extract again. Here are the 10 questions. So please can you pause the video now, and you have 10 minutes to do these questions. Okay, so here are the answers. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. If you just want to check your answers and mark what you've done, this should only take, well, it should only take a minute or so. So just pause the video and go through your answers and see how many you've got right. Okay, so let's move on to chord progression checks. You've got 5 minutes to complete the following chord progressions for the following sections, please. If you pause the video and do that now, thank you. Okay, so I had some issues, like I said, with GCSE Bite Size actually having the wrong chords on their website. So I spoke to a few teachers, and I spoke to the exam board, and I listened to it, and I played it, and these are the final chords that have been accredited by the exam board and by myself. And so this is just an idea. This is basically copying a couple of your ideas anyway, for how you wrote your chord progression charts. And this is every single section of the song with the chord progressions. Now what I would like you to do is I'd like you to pause the video, and if you have already done a chord progression chart and it's on your bedroom wall or on your fridge or wherever you have it, just double check that you've got the exact right structure and chords that's noted down here. If you haven't done your chord progression chart, now is your opportunity to make that yourself. You could use post-it notes. I sent around a great example that Kezia did this week using post-it notes. You could write it out using different colours. It's entirely up to you. You could do it on a computer and print it out. So now is your opportunity. If you haven't done this yet, you must have this, and you must put it up on your bedroom wall so you can see it all the time and revise from it. So you can pause the video and either double check your own chord progression chart or make your own chord progression chart now. So if you have finished your chord progression chart / checked it and it's all okay, let's move on to a little bit of background. I had a great question this week come through. This was the question. I've been using my Educast revision guide to revise Since You've Been Gone, and it says the song was released in 1976, but Rainbow recorded their version in 1979. I was wondering which is the correct question, if a question came up, which is the correct year, if it came up in an exam. So can anybody actually answer this question? Have a little think about it. Write down your answer in your book. Pause this now. Okay, so here's the answer. So Russ Ballard was not actually a member of Rainbow. He composed a song and released it on his own solo album called Winning in 1976. But then he let Rainbow cover it and they released it as a single in 1979. So this version was released in 1979 by Rainbow. Hope that answers your question. It's a good question. Okay. So let's do a bit more about background. So who were the members of Rainbow and what did they play in the band? I'd like you to please pause the video now and write down who they were and what they played. Little clue, there were 5 members in 1979. Okay, so here's your answer. Now, if you go on the internet and just Google members of Rainbow, you'll see that there are loads. What we need to focus on are who were the members in 1979, who actually played on this track. So you have to be quite careful when you're researching things on the internet because it can give you lots of answers that are true, but you've got to delve deeper. So what you have to do, you just have to sort of separate relevant things for the information that you need. So in 1979, this was the lineup of Rainbow. So Richie Blackmore, who was a sort of founder of Rainbow, really played lead guitar. Don Airey played keyboards. Roger Glover played bass guitar. Cozy Powell was on drums, and Graham Bonnet was on lead vocals. And all the other guys, the other members, sung backing vocals as well. So those are the members of the group in 1979. So let's get that down in your book if you haven't already, and make sure you know who those people were and what they did. Okay, music technology. Obviously in the 70s it was fairly basic, and this is rock music, so they didn't use loads and loads and loads of effects. 2 that are really important, they use microphones for vocals. I know it sounds really obvious, but it is a form of technology. And also distortion on the lead guitar. I know we had that question at the beginning. Technology-wise, these are the 2 key things you need to remember. So if you could get those into your books. So some musical techniques that they used. Very, very common for questions like this to come up. So for lead guitar, I mean, the keyboards, the drums and the bass pretty much were just played as they were. But the main techniques really that we used were sort of in the lead guitar and the vocals. So lead guitar, you had palm muting, which is fairly self-explanatory. You use the palm of your hand to mute the strings in between power chords. Pitch bending, where when you're using your left hand, if you're a right-handed guitarist, the fingers that are pressing the chords are slightly bending the strings to slightly bend the pitch a little bit. Vibrato, so that kind of vibration kind of sound, and power chords as well were used. And then vocals, you've got falsetto, which is that type of very high voice used by men. So let's get these down in our books too. Okay, notable rhythms. This song is full of syncopated rhythms. If you're not sure what syncopation means, can you look that up now, please? So syncopation is used in both the chords played by the band and in the main melody. Now, 2 more notable rhythmic techniques that are used are particularly in this bridge section. So dotted rhythms, which you can see here in this arrow, and then triplets on the word baby, you know, you never do wrong. Okay, so you can identify triplets because they've always got a little 3 next to them. Now have a look at, there's going to be a question at the end about how much the value of these triplets altogether are worth. You can work that out by working out what's the time signature and how many beats does this note last for, and that will tell you how many beats this triplet is the equivalent of as well. So really important that we remember that we've got those triplets, those dotted rhythms, and most importantly syncopated rhythms. So pause the video now and just get those into your books. Texture, really straightforward. It's homophonic, it's melody and accompaniment all the way through, as all pop songs are. So both of these are correct, but for simplicity I would just stick with homophonic. Melody again, fairly straightforward. It's mostly conjunct / scalic. Both of those terms mean the same thing, which means that the melody moves by step. And I've just added, now remember this isn't part of the melody, this is part of the accompaniment, but it's just notable as I've got this example of the music here, that there's just a little extra feature of this descending conjunct bass line in the verses. But remember that is part of the accompaniment, not the melody. But I just thought it was relevant for this picture. Okay, tonality. So it's in a major key, starts in G major, modulates to A major for the final chorus and the outro. It's really important that you must write the full name of the key. If you just write G, then it's not right, because that could be G major or minor. It's the same with the chord progressions, so you have to write the full name of the chord. Are they major, are they minor, are they seventh chords? We must remember that when it comes to tonality. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. So let's move on to the last one. So here is your final question task, which should take you about 10 minutes again. If it takes you longer, it doesn't matter. So have a look at this section of the piece. Here it is again. I want you to pause this video and answer these 10 questions. This again should take roughly sort of 10 minutes or so. So pause this and just do those questions. Now I'm not going to give you the answers to those questions until you have uploaded your answers onto Teams. So I'm going to give you the answers once you've uploaded them. Okay? So here are your questions. Pause the video, and that's it for today's lesson. Thanks for joining me.